Sukkah Perek Halacha Aleph. The Rambam begins Derech HaSukkah is kal. The sukkah is usually made very light. So you should be able to see through the schach large kechol. We'll go down to the Peirush. It was thick like a house, and even though you cannot see the stars, it is kosher. That's the Lashon Rambam. The Magen Mishnah cites the Mishnah. There's a Mishnah in Chafez 22a. There's a Mishnah brings the Yerushalmi that when you have to see the stars from it, that's the source. It means the stars of the sun. The Rambam explains what it means, the stars of the sun. These are the large stars that are seen even by day. Therefore, they call the stars of the sun. We should point out that the Kesef Mishnah should have brought the Bryce and the Bavli 22b that if you don't see the stars of the sun, Beishan will say it's possible. Beishan say it's possible, but they still say it's kosher. Why do you bring only from the Yerushalmi? It could be because Rashi learns that there in the Bavli it means the shafts of light of the sun. And you have to see the shafts of light through the schach. Learns that even the Bavli is talking about large stars. And he says that if the small ones are also seen through the schach, so it's too light, it's too thin, and you can't sit in it. Therefore, you have to see only the large stars. What the Yerushalmi calls the stars of the sun, because they go close to the sun, and they're very bright, such as it means also the planets. It also refers to planets. Noiga, you have Mars, and you have Venus, and you have Mercury, and the light is very big, and therefore it would seem to be that Rambam he doesn't write Krevei Chamo as a Lashon Gemara, large stars. On Rashi, that he says it means shafts of light from the sun. Menach argues that it doesn't seem to jibe with the Raisa, because stars is plural and the sun is singular. Should say Zohar as opposed to Zohare, which is plural. The Gemara explains, like the Magen Mishnah, that it does mean the sun, and he cites from Shabbos that the large stars you see at the end of the day, even when the sun is still out. And what the Kesef Mishnah doesn't bring from the Bavli, Peirush explains that there's no disagreement between the Bavli and Yerushalmi. The Kesef Mishnah doesn't say the Bavli because there's a machlokes, and therefore the Mishnah in Sukkah 22a is only according to Beis Hill. Therefore, he brings the Yerushalmi. That is according to everyone's opinion. Shulchan Aruch says the Halacha is that usually make a sukkah should be light, the schach, so you should see the large stars through it. The Mishnah Berurah adds and clarifies that those are the stars that you see by day before sunset. And he brings other achronim, later commentaries, who say that to begin with, even at night you should be able to see the stars of the night through the schach, and so we find the Mogen Avrom. The Ramah of Medaki Moshe brings to the Ma'aril that you can use schach very thick, even though you won't be able to see the stars. Even though you don't see it, by day there's enough openings, and it's considered schach. The Bikurim Yaakov says that especially in those places that we're afraid that if he makes very thin the schach, then the cold will come into the sukkah. He won't be able to survive staying in the sukkah. The Pri Megadim writes that it could be that regarding seeing the stars, it's enough if he sees in one part of the sukkah, and the rest of the sukkah can be so thick that you can't see them. But if it's too thick, so the rain doesn't go through it, according to Rabbeinu Tam, if it's 4 tefachim wide, it's considered schach posel. And the Achronim write that even though it's very thick, it's still kosher. But if the rain doesn't go through it, even if it's a heavy rain, it should be posel because we're afraid he might make his sukkah in the house. Rambam continues, sukkah meduvlal. The sukkah was meduvlal. That means that means it wasn't on one level, it was 2 levels, one above and one below. And and kosher. It's kosher. But actually, it's kosher as long as there's no separation between the upper schach, a layer of schach, and the lower one of 3 tvochim. And furthermore, if the upper part, the sticks of the upper part have a tefach width, even though it's above 3 tvochim, we see it. There's a special halacha of Chovot Rami that we see as it goes down, and it has to be exactly going into the space that's available, as we'll see. Now we explain that it should not be 3 tvachim separating them, that they shouldn't be between the canes on the lower level and the upper level more than 3 tvachim. There's a distance of 3 tvachim, it's possible. And if the upper part of the width had a tefach or more, more than 3 tvachim, it's kosher because we see it as if it's laying down below, as if it came down and touches the edges of what is below. And it helps only when it's found exactly above the portion that it's coming down to enter the space. Then it's as if we say, that's the only time we say it's as if it came in and it's kosher. The Maggid Mishnah cites the Mishnah, we mentioned Halacha Yotes, a sukkah of that has more shade than sun, it's kosher. The Gemara, there's 2 possibilities. What meduvlelis means. The first one we mentioned is that of Rav. The Rambam explained in Halacha 19. The Maggid Mishnah Halacha 19 mentions that there's also Shmuel's possibility that the Rambam cites here. Shmuel explains meduvlelis means that they're mixed together. That one is there's an upper level and a lower level, and in our Mishnah there's 2 laws that apply. One is sukkah meduvlelis, and the other one is whether the shade is greater than the sun. In both of them instances it's kosher, and he brings here the Kumta of Shmuel, because the Rambam learns that the two possibilities don't disagree. And the Gemara Abaye says that this was not said only if there's not 3 tvachim between them. If there is between them 3 tvachim, it's possible. Rambam says that even if there's 3 tvachim between them, it's kosher, because if the upper one has a tefach, we say Chovot Rami. We see the upper one as if it came down below. The Maggid Mishnah continues that you only say Chovot Rami when the upper thing has a width of a tefach. But if it doesn't have a tefach, we don't say Chovot Rami like Rava. We don't use Rava's application. The Maggid Mishnah, Agos Maimonides, in his base, explained the disagreement. Abaye is of the opinion the sukkah is posel if there's more than 3 tvachim. Rava is the opinion if the upper one is wider tefach, we say Chovot Rami to cause the sukkah to be kosher, and we agree with Rava. The Rambam says the halacha is that sukkah is posel if there's 3 tvachim between them, but if the upper one has a width of a tefach, then we view it as if it came down below, and that would make the sukkah kosher. Because the Mishnah cites that Peirush HaMeir says it's not enough that is the upper canes have a width of a tefach, say Chovot Rami, but it has to be fitting over the ear space that's between the separation that it's trying to fill in the bottom layer. Otherwise, even if it has a tefach, we don't say Chovot Rami, because when the upper one is found opposite the opening that's between the canes below, and there is an opening of a tefach between them, then exactly in the width of a tefach, then we say Chovot Rami. To act as if the lower one, as if the upper one came down into the lower one and filled the space that was empty, and the ear is no longer there between the 2 sections in the bottom one. We're now going to go from 1 page, 2 pages, and we'll go down to where the Shulchan Aruch says The Shulchan Aruch in Tufla Ishtam and Aleph and Sifhei says the halacha is if the shikuch was meduvlal, meaning mixed. That's what he, right. Vuaziruch shiur miktzos ulemala miktzos ulemata. That means that some of it was above and some of it was below. It's kosher. Ubulvad only shaliyah beina oila v'ayor gimel tvochim. There should be no space between the upper part and the lower part of 3 tvochim. And if in the width of the oila there was a tefach or more, even though it's 3 tvochim, we see it as if it went down below and it touched the part that went down. And it has to be exactly opposite that area where it's coming down, just like the Loshen, the language of the Rambam. The Rambam adds, that means that there is in the avir, in the ear between the bottom tefach, a tefach, meaning that you can literally take the upper part if you wanted to and put it down below. Then it's kosher even if the sun is more than the shade when the sun is in the height of the sky, because the opening that's in the lower one is directly opposite the width of the upper one, and therefore you could put it down and it would block out the sun. This is to exclude that if the place that is open is too thin for the upper one to come down, which is below it, we don't say chovot romi. And this is what the Bir Halacha says in Peirush HaMeir Aleph, that would seem the Loshen Rambam that if the width of the corner of the upper one is more than a tefach, then it has to be in the lower one more than a tefach. But the Rambam says that if there's in the ear between the lower one a tefach, that means like the Ritva, that it's enough that if there is between the lower one's a tefach, even if the upper one is wider than a tefach, meaning the upper one can be wider than a tefach, then you don't say that the lower one has to be wider than a tefach. As long as there's an opening of a tefach. That's the halacha, the Moshe Sinai of Chovot Romi. And what it says in that the Divrei Remo are taken from the Ran, the Berg HaYoshon of Beis Yosef B'Shem Rambam. This is to differentiate that Rashi and Tosfos disagree that even if there's no space in the ear below of a tefach, you still say chovot romi. So there are those who say even if there's less than a tefach, you can still say chovot romi.